Hello, my IMers, what's up? I know we take these intermittent breaks, but that's because of COVID. It's not us. We do apologize. We got a lot of people coming for us on Instagram telling us, how dare you guys, you don't release anymore. We're back now. Hopefully more frequently, but if not, I'm sorry again. But yes, if you don't know me, I'm Lisedi, and today I'm joined by...
Kevin Smith.
Okay, Kevin, I'm Lisedi, look at me. Kevin, how are you?
Good, thanks. How are you, Lisedi?
I'm great, thank you. What level are we on now? 0, 1, 2, 7?
I think you're on level 1.
Level 1? I also think so. How's it treating you?
Level 1 is amazing.
Really?
I've been waiting for this for 7 months now.
7 months? What did you get up to?
During lockdown?
Yeah.
I was literally just working.
Oh, shame.
Yeah.
But we're going to get into your work just now. If you haven't liked and subscribed, do like and subscribe to our channels. And I'm just going to shoot right into it. So, you haven't watched our show?
I have, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Which episode?
I watched quite a few, actually. I watched the one with Stogie T.
Okay.
I watched another one that you guys also had, like one of your recent ones.
Oh, the photographer?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I saw you guys had Stormy Maya as well.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. So you actually watch us. Okay, great. So you know that we usually start off with a quick fire before we sort of get into it, just to calm you down. But you seem calm, so I think you should be fine.
Relax.
But we're going to get straight into it. Mihlali or Faith and Ketty?
What are we comparing?
For whatever reason. I don't know.
I don't know much
I
about
just read
Faith.
the script.
I don't know much about Faith, so I'll have to choose Mihlali.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Suits or casual wear?
Suit.
Why?
I mean, it's what I wear every single day.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeepers.
Just like today was casual, you know?
Yeah, today's Sunday.
Yeah.
Beach or safari getaways?
Beach, standard.
Okay. Beamer or Benz?
Beamer.
Why?
They just look better.
Really?
Yeah.
With their orange speedometers? Or do they change color afterwards?
Look, something along those lines.
Okay. Soccer or rugby?
Soccer.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Kevin. So, who is Kevin?
Okay. Kevin is an attorney and an artist as well. Mm-hmm. Originally from Eldorado Park.
Okay.
I'm partner at my law firm now, Ganimide Attorneys. So I both run my business and I practice the law.
Okay.
Yeah, that's who I am.
And why did you become a lawyer? What made you decide to get into law?
Look, I mean, I've always been exposed to the law or what the law potentially could be. I'm from a family that's very politically conscious. So when you have a politically conscious family, it's usually from a legal perspective.
Okay. In
terms of how they tackled against the regime from the past.
Okay.
You know?
Okay.
So I always knew that the law is a very extensive thing that is not only beneficial to the community, but it's a necessity as well.
Okay.
Although I initially planned on becoming an artist, I felt as though pursuing a career in law can not only merge with my artistic passions, but I can also be of more of a benefit to the community at large.
Yeah. So, and what kind of artist are you?
I paint, I draw as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. And why the move from, because I know when you study, you have your articles and then you can get into the law firm. Why did you then move into your own thing and start?
That was always my intention from the beginning. No matter what career path I would have taken, it was always going to be the focus on ownership. Because at the end of the day, if you want to leave a legacy, which is one of the things that's important to me, you have to leave something behind. So my reliance was never going to be on an employer or to fitting towards someone else's dream, but to create my own. So in anything that I was going to be the owner. I was going to take ownership of the supply chain, just also that I can leave something behind. And that I can be a decision maker at the end of the day.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. And then how difficult is it now owning your own business, so to speak, and also practicing the law?
Yeah. Look, at the end, it's just about a perspective on things. On the one hand, a lot of people's stresses about work is on deadlines or things that they have to do. But when you run a business, you don't think just about what's on the table, but what are we bringing to the table. Okay. So your perspective is more along the lines of the bigger picture. It's a holistic view. It's not about what I have on my table, the deadlines I have in front of me now, but it's also in terms of how does this fit within the company, within the structure, how do we get a pipeline going so that it becomes its own living, breathing thing. Okay.
Jeepers. But you're a lawyer anyway, and you're working the 24 hours anyway. You might as well be working, contributing to your own company, sort of a thing. Okay. Exactly. The biggest reason we had you here, because you did mention that you're an artist and just merging the law and art together. And a lot of people are, being in a social media era and the digital age, a lot of people are showing their work, whatever the case may be, on social media. So the biggest reason we had you here is, how do people protect what they do. What is intellectual property?
Okay.
Yeah.
So intellectual property is a branch of law that covers the creations of someone's intellect. Now, these creations can be tangible, they can be intangible.
Okay.
That's why there are different classifications of intellectual property.
Okay.
There are copyrights, trademarks, patents, what have you.
Okay.
And each of them covers a different perspective of what can be created through someone's intellect.
Okay.
So, for instance, what happens a lot on social media in particular is that people have copyright infringement. Because something that's created, an original work, whether it's music, art, architectural drawings, they have automatic copyright protection.
Is this by South African law or?
Yes.
Okay.
So the Copyright Act states this.
Okay.
We've also signed a lot of international copyright treaties, and they all try to uniform how we approach intellectual property. So copyright is an automatic protection.
Okay.
You don't register copyright because you automatically have protection.
Okay.
Unless it's a film, a film you have to, by legislation, you have to copyright that. You have to register that copyright. So as soon as you've created something originally, sorry to cut you there.
No problem.
You have automatic protection.
Yeah.
So the use and enjoyment of your copyright is already there.
Okay. So if I just post a picture of myself on Instagram, we never read the terms and conditions, so we actually don't know who owns it. But
Instagram actually owns it.
Owns it. Okay. So how does the copyright infringement?
So what happens is that with copyright, you also have to always think about licensing.
Okay.
Now, copyright is your protection. Licensing is one of the ways you exploit it or make revenue from it.
Okay.
Now, when you sign up to Instagram or any type of social media platform, because they're giving you the platform to express, they become the owners of the copyright. You actually sign over your copyright to them. But you are licensed to then use it on your own page, use it on social media. But if they choose to use it themselves, either to advertise or to market Instagram, they can do so without paying your royalty. Because remember that you only earn your royalty through the licensing. But if you've revoked the license, then they don't have to pay. But however, if at some point you want to use that copyrighted picture or video, you may be liable to pay Instagram for royalty.
Pay Instagram
for royalty.
Oh my gosh!
But the usage terms, obviously, they have very free usage terms, so they wouldn't necessarily want to enforce the copyright in the normal scheme of things.
Yeah. So and then you touched on like intangible and tangible ideas, whatever. So let's get into that. What is considered tangible, so I can hold it there? Like,
so tangible would be something like a design. So that's where a patent comes in.
Okay.
So you can have an aesthetic design, you can have a functional design.
Okay.
Aesthetic design is something like you watch how it looks.
Okay.
But an aesthetic design is something like a corkscrew because it performs a function as well. You can use it in something like agriculture and machinery. Okay. So those become your tangible ones.
Yeah.
Now your intangible is things like as I said, your copyrights, a literary work. A piece of music, a piece of art, you know, although it's expressed in a tangible way because it's there, but the copyright that's protected isn't something like a design that everyone can use. It's just how it looks. You know? So those are the two differences.
So you patent something that you can use, like the corkscrew, as you were saying.
Yeah, so a patent, you can also do it for something that's just aesthetic. It doesn't always have to be functional. Yeah. Like for instance, they can patent a specific I know we were speaking about cars earlier, a specific grille or a specific light, the way it's designed. Okay. So it's just on a functional level. Yeah. Because if it's used by another manufacturer, it will either give whoever's looking at the vehicle the impression that it's the vehicle that it isn't. You understand? Okay, I understand what you're saying. And that's just based on an aesthetic level. Okay. So it's patents, and then we spoke about copyright. What are the other? And there's trademarks as well. You can also have protection for so a trademark would work anything like a logo, a name of a company, but you can also have sound marks. So sound marks are something like, have you ever switched on like a Samsung and it has that opening sound that you just know is the Samsung sound? Yeah. Now, because people will identify that sound with a specific company, that means that it is identifiable, so it becomes a sound mark. Okay, so something like that you can trademark. You can have protection over that as well.
Okay, and then what is the other one? We spoke about trademarks, patents, copyright. There's the one that I feel like I'm missing.
There's trade secrets as well.
Trade secrets, yes.
So trade secrets is usually what a company in itself, the information that they have, that they use to exploit and to generate revenue. Like for instance, if I were a real estate company, for instance, who our customers are, which areas it is that we practice in, how we do our sales. So basically how the company functions. All of that information can be used to the advantage of a competitor and will prejudice the company that's lost the information. Okay. So that type of information is also protected. That's why you have things like restraint of trade. Because let's say, for instance, if you work at a company, you understand intimately how that company works. If a competitor takes you, that intimate knowledge they can use to their benefit. So you usually won't be able to work for a competitor for a certain amount of time.
Okay. And then after that time, then can you share the trade secret?
Look, because at that point, it will either not be of use, but if the time under which you were under penalty, if that has now been satisfied, then you are able to use that which you've accumulated. Because at the end of the day, it's your own current experience as well. These are things that you generated experience. It's stuff that you know in applying your trade. So at some point, you are at liberty to use them as well. Because you're allowed to.
Oh, so if I worked for like KFC for a while, knew their secret spice, and then after 10 years,
No, the secret spice would be something different.
So
that would be registered under a different form of intellectual property. So trade secrets, that is something more, it's more to the core of the business than just the normal trade secrets. You know, because those herbs and spices, that's their actual product. You understand? So that's different. It's not about which locations they're working in, what's the clientele that they want to increase. It's on a different level.
Okay, and then speaking of food, can you trademark food?
No, you can't trademark food in particular, but you can trademark a certain formula, a certain recipe.
So the secret spice.
Exactly. So like, for instance, you have genetically modified foods as well. So how they genetically modify those foods, that can be protected.
Oh my gosh, this sounds like a lot. I thought this was easy. So what are some people's misconceptions about intellectual property? Like, you know, a lot of people like have an idea and then an idea just skips to somebody else. It's like, you stole my idea.
So the common misconceptions are, I wouldn't say misconceptions because it's more based on the fact that people don't know enough about intellectual property. So what they've been exposed to is what they think intellectual property is. And you'll usually find that that's how they've seen it in media or in pop culture. So everyone thinks that everything's a copyright. Or everything's a trademark. They don't know that there's a specific function for each. So I wouldn't say it's misconception, it's just that there's just a lack of general understanding.
Or being misinformed or whatever. And just like a side question I thought of now, with the, I don't know if you knew about the USSD thing with the Vodacom guy, but like, what was his argument? Because I don't know who won at the end. Was it Vodacom?
No, he won.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The only issue with that now is that they're disputing how much they have to pay him as compensation. So one of the ways that if someone infringes a form of your intellectual property, you usually claim damages, but you can also claim what you would have earned had you licensed it out to them. So remember I said at the beginning that you have licensing and then the royalties paid through the license. So if he was going to earn, let's say 10% of the complete revenue that they make from that, then that's what he would have made under license. So that would be the damages that he suffered. I don't know if in particular that's how they made his claim, but that's one of the ways you can do it. So right now that's just the issue in how they're going to pay the damages, how do they quantify the damages.
So what should he have done? What should people with great ideas then do? Like,
no, I think he followed the right path, because at the end of the day that was an internal issue through Vodacom. You know, so he followed the internal issues in terms of how Vodacom asked him to do a specific thing. But in the usual scheme of things, if you're taking an idea to a third party that you don't necessarily work for, you have to always sign non-disclosures. You have to sign things like a non-circumvention agreement as well. People usually just think that a non-disclosure is sufficient, but you have to also have non-circumvention, because non-disclosure only protects disclosures itself. So things you can say, how you distribute the information, what you can do with it. But non-circumvention is actually telling me that I can't use that information without your involvement. So the other element is, can I use it? Not just can I disclose it, can I have it? What do I do once I have it? Because I can still take your idea and use someone else in order to realize it and then monetize it. You know, so the non-circumvention will protect that.
Okay, so how do people then go about logging, like, I don't know, certain that idea specifically, like an idea that you had for a company, they're not using it, and now you're like, okay, cool, you're not going to use it, but I want to go and make sure that I own the idea, and anybody that uses it, I make money.
So again, where you start is that you have your non-disclosure agreements in place, your non-circumvention agreements in place, and then if it's a patent, for instance, then you go to the patent office, you have that registered, you issue a preliminary registration, and then you do your final registration. Once you know that the patent that you are considering, the idea is complete, there won't be any improvements, you've got it now to a state where it can be usable. Then you make your final application. As I said, copyrights don't get registered unless it's a film. Trademarks as well, you go to the trademarks office and you lodge there. So the procedures are very simple once you know which one applies to you. So that's why it's always essential to speak to an intellectual property attorney so that they can tell you exactly what type of intellectual property you're dealing with. Then it makes the process a whole lot easier.
And then how much are we looking at, like in terms of?
It depends on the type of application you make. So,
patent?
So there isn't a specific way in which I can tell you this is the actual price for this, because we still have to consider if the patent's complete, for instance, if we have all the information. So there's still a lot of background work that we do before we actually lodge the application. Because lodging the application is one of the final stages, but we need to make sure that we have all the information to lodge. So depending on how much time that takes us to do it will have a different impact on what we would charge.
And you lawyers just ballpark figure things like, I want to charge 10,000 Rand an hour. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
No, at the end of the day, we have to give value to the client. That's what's most important. And we can't give you value if we can't ensure that the application we're making is the right application, because then we're doing you a disservice. So we'd rather make sure that at each step of the way we've got all the information, the proper information is there, we make the right applications so that it's as quick and efficient as possible. Because then that makes it actually more cost effective to the client at the end of the day. So that's why we take a lot of care in doing all of the background work to make sure that everything is in place.
And have you ever been in a case where somebody had lodged their own intellectual property incorrectly? And
all the time.
Really?
As I said, one of the main reasons why that happens is because people have a poor understanding of what intellectual property is. So they might make the wrong application, or it doesn't have the right information, or it's not in the right format. You know? So that happens all the time. So which is why it's always essential to speak to a professional so that they can guide you. When you do something the right way, it's always cost effective, no matter what it may cost.
But Kevin, we can't afford you at the time of my bright idea.
You always can. There's ways in which you can make things work for you. At the end of the day, lawyers are problem solvers. So if one of your problems is in how you're going to pay for it, they can always solve that problem for you as well. We get into a different type of payment scheme, a different type of payment plan. It doesn't necessarily mean that if I don't have a certain amount of funds now, I can't always get it done. You see, so that's actually stopping you from getting the right advice before the hurdle actually got there.
No, 100%. I know a couple of people that just like stop because they're like, what? This person is charging me like an arm and a leg.
Exactly. And there are a lot of other resources. I mean, you can go on the CIPC website. They'll explain a lot of these things to you. A lot of law firms like ours have free resources. They teach you about this. We release articles. We have downloadable content on our website that you can download. That'll teach you a lot of these things, because we also believe that some of this information should be commonplace to everyone. And if it's something that's standardized, we can give that to you at no cost. But the application, because of the nature of that, we'll rather handle that for you. But there's resources available. That's the point that I'm trying to make, you know. Also, and there's also like law clinics all over South Africa. So access to the law is there. I think people just cause their own obstacles and hurdles in not pursuing it. But at the end of the day, if you don't have legal representation, if you don't have legal advice, you're already at a disadvantage.
Well, thank you for that side note. And how do then royalties work? So now I've made it, I've licensed. How do they actually work?
So royalties is the license. So if you license out your intellectual property to someone, the compensation they give you is a percentage of the revenue they make from your intellectual property. You understand? So let's say you have a song and I want to put it in an advert. You're obviously going to generate revenue from using my song. So they'll pay you either a percentage or an upfront payment. That's just based on the scheme that you guys enter into. But royalties is off of a licensing scheme.
And then like if, I don't know, I have this cool idea of a bottle and then sell it to other people that like bottle water, then do royalties also work similar to that? Or
so that would depend. If it's something that needed to be patented, then you can get paid your royalties through the patenting. So once you license out the use of the patent. If it's just a normal aesthetic design, then you can get into your own royalty scheme with whoever's going to use it. And then this happens quite often. So aside of the Vodacom and thingy scheme, but you put out your idea. There was a guy, I think, on Twitter once, had an architectural design of something, and then just put it up on Twitter, just so like, oh, I have this idea. And then next thing, there was a whole container that looked identical to the design that he had. How does somebody like that go about then, if you can, using or acting legally against this person? Like what legal action can they take if they've proven to show that it was their idea?
Yeah.
So the Copyright Act does state if you have any infringement, they'll give you a procedure in terms of how you follow it.
Okay.
But you follow the normal litigation procedure.
Okay.
A lot of people choose
normal
litigation procedure.
Okay.
So what a lot of people do is that they choose to send out, let's say, cease and desist. Let's say, for instance, one of, or this shirt that you guys have designed looks exactly like one of mine.
Yes.
So I'll tell
Which
you
is
to
not
stop.
likely.
Of course. And then we issue a cease and desist to tell you to stop using the design that we have come up with, or to pay us compensation or damages, etc. If they then don't do that, then you go through the normal pleadings procedure. You issue your papers at court, and we fight it out. But there are also other tribunals that you can go to that will also assist in that.
Okay.
So you don't always have to take the court process first. You can go, like, for instance, to the tribunals under the Companies Act. They have quite a few tribunals that you can then use. The Copyright Act as well. So there are quite a few ways that you can do it. But again, getting access to a legal representative is essential, because enforcing the law is also knowing how to enforce it. So it may be an infringement, but the steps you take need to be the right steps to get you the outcome that you're looking for.
So I don't be on, like, harass you, like, how dare you?
Or you don't go through a process that takes years to complete, where there could have been an easier way to solve it. You know, there are many avenues in law to use. Nothing is concrete. You know? So it's always essential to see what the issue at hand is, so that your legal representative can tell you what's the most efficient way to solve the problem.
Okay. So what I'm getting from this whole conversation is that people shouldn't be as nervous as they should be.
Of course.
To come and approach a lawyer, and resources are there for people to know and find out. Yeah. Okay.
And I mean, that's why we are on platforms like these, so that we can show that we are accessible. I myself am always accessible to the public as well. So we don't want people to think that there's no access to the law, because that barrier puts everyone at a disadvantage.
No, it does, because every time we think we're going to have to pay to talk to you, so rather not. Yeah,
but that isn't always the case. You know, if people need to consult, again, as I said, it's about giving value to the client.
Yes.
So if I'm not going to derive value from the initial consultation, why should I charge you for it? Let's establish the merits of the case. Let's establish what we're dealing with, so that I can tell you then, and then start giving you value.
Okay. So any advice that you have for budding lawyers and artists? We'll start with lawyers first.
Okay. My advice to lawyers is that if you're just graduating, you need to focus on learning as much as possible. Your articles is a time where you're being taught everything top to bottom. So no one expects you to know what's going on. We know that you're freshly graduated, and we're looking for ways to apply that knowledge. So you must use it as a springboard for the rest of your career, because how you start your legal career is always how you end it. You know, if you're known to be reliable, if you're known to follow through, if you're known to work well under pressure, these are qualities that you're going to need throughout your legal career. Because the situations don't change, they just become more intense. So you must know how to deal with it. So that's why when you have any opportunity to learn, especially in the legal environment, it's constantly about learning. There's no lawyer with an advocate or attorney who knows it all. We're all constantly evolving, constantly learning new things in how to apply and strategize and use and apply our legal knowledge. So use all opportunities as a way to learn and as a way to build your skill set.
Don't do it for the money. I'm joking. And then what about artists? What advice would you have for artists?
Yeah, so for artists, I'd give them more economic advice. Learn on the business side of being creative. There are a lot of creatives everywhere, but how you become valuable within the market is how you exploit your talent. So the best thing to do is to understand your market very intimately, so that you know how you form value within the supply chain, how the people that want your value, how they can get access to it, and understanding the legal parameters around doing business for creative. Because again, the law is the most extensive infrastructure that you will have. So the same way that your Apples and your Sonys derive value in the market is the same way that you as a creative entrepreneur will do the same thing. So form a business structure. Make sure that you know that all the regulations that are in place, make sure that you comply. If there are any IP issues, consult a professional so that we can advise you on how to do that properly. So that you can actually just focus on being creative and maximizing the monetary potential of your creative talent.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, Kevin. How do people get a hold of you and your law firm? We actually didn't touch on your law firm quickly. Maybe we can speak about that real quick. What do you guys specialize in, or are you specialists, generalists?
So we are actually a general practice, meaning that we focus on all aspects of the law. I myself focus on corporate and commercial law. I also do civil litigation, bit of criminal litigation as well. We do deceased estates, labor law, property. So we are across the board.
Awesome. So how do people get a hold of you? I don't know, social media, email, website, whatever.
Right. So my firm's website is ghanimiteattorneys.co.za. You'll get hold of me, email kevin@ghanimitelaw.co.za. My social media handles are agent_K-Smith across the board.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kevin. Thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Thanks for having me.
And yeah, remember to like, subscribe, and we have Kevin's details at the bottom. You might have seen them go through, but also you can DM us if you need to get through him as well. Thank you so much for watching and enjoy, everybody.